No plans to privatize Transnet and Eskom, and 4 killed in Syrian protests. Good morning. Public Enterprises Minister Malusi Gigaba says South Africa has no plans to privatize logistics group Transnet and power utility Eskom to attract more investment and has no intention of splitting the companies. Gigaba says infrastructure development is the responsibility of the state, but he expects the private sector to play a bigger role. Private investors have all repeatedly said they could help relieve Eskom and Transnet's strained balance sheet and speed up much-needed development in power plants and rail lines. So far, investors have been limited by regulatory hurdles, but Gigaba says his ministry is developing a framework for how they should be involved in the sector. Gigaba says state firms are on track to meet borrowing targets spelt out in the February budget, and that Transnet plans to borrow from the international market later this year. Scores of ANC members have gathered in Bisho to commemorate the 1992 Bisho massacre. Thousands of people marched to Bisho to demand the resignation of Ciskei Homeland leader Oupa Xozo. Makaya Gomisa reports.
The march to the Ciskei homeland was led by senior ANC leaders, including the late SACP Secretary General Chris Hani, Cyril Ramaphosa, Steve Tshwete and Ronnie Castles. Ciskei Defence Force soldiers opened fire on the marchers with automatic weapons, killing 28 marchers and 1 soldier and injuring over 200 people. Yesterday, Arts and Culture Minister Paul Mashatile laid wreaths at the Bisho Massacre Monument as part of the heritage launch in the province. ANC provincial leaders are expected to attend the ceremony. Akaya Komisa, SABC News, Bisho.
The Nobel Women's Initiative is urging President Jacob Zuma to withdraw Justice Mogoeng's nomination as the next Chief Justice. The former laureates feel that many of Mogoeng's rulings undermine human rights by granting lenient sentences in cases of rape and domestic violence. Chairperson of the Sonke Gender Justice Network, Sisonke Msimang, says the stance taken by the Nobel Women's Initiative isn't surprising.
I think we're very pleased that the Nobel Women Laureates have come up with the statement, particularly because it demonstrates that the world is watching South Africa at this important time. The Constitution of South Africa is one that people around the world have watched and have been inspired by, and I think that there's a deep sense of disappointment that we could be looking at a Chief Justice who may not embody all of the values that are in the Constitution.
The National Executive Committee of the African Reformed Church has suspended Archbishop Dumisani Mnisi for bringing the church into disrepute. Mnisi is facing charges of statutory rape. It's alleged that he impregnated a 14-year-old learner at Bizana in the Eastern Cape and forced her to terminate the pregnancy. Mnisi is also a councillor at Bizana local municipality. Church spokesperson Bishop Lizo Tetandaba.
The African Reformed Church, we decided to rather to stop Archbishop Mnisi on this congregation because of allegation of rape. Apologize to all the members of South Africa. Apologize to all the African people.
And finally, further afield, 4 people have been killed when Syrian security forces fired on a pro-democracy protest in the central city of Homs. Local coordination committees in Syria say security and army forces were carrying out a massive-scale crackdown in several areas of the dissident city. Explosions accompanied by heavy gunfire were heard in several neighborhoods of Homs. The clampdown comes hours after the state news agency Sana reported that the Syrian government had asked the head of the Arab League, Nabil al-Arabi, to postpone a visit that was originally scheduled for Wednesday. More than 2,000 people have been killed since pro-democracy protests started in Syria in mid-March. Recapping the top story, Public Enterprises Minister Malusi Gigaba says South Africa has no plans to privatize logistics group Transnet and power utility Eskom to attract more investment and has no intention of splitting the companies.